So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. We've been on a bit of a sabbatical because, to be honest with you, life just got in the way there for a few days, but we're back all enthused, reinvigorated and re-energized, just like the wonderful club of Aston Villa has been over the last 2 to 3 years since Suarez and Edens have taken over. We're hoping that this little break that we've had is going to energize us in towards the season. We didn't even plan to take it, Paddy. Sure, we didn't. It just so happened that, you know, that stuff came upon us, but we're back anyway. Less of us and more of the wonderful Aston Villa. But Paddy, how have you been since we were last chatting?
I'm good, Neil. Lots going on, and as you said, in our lives, and getting stuff kind of back on track here in the country, and fully vaccinated now, and looking forward to getting back to real life, which is Villa playing football and getting over to Villa Park and getting back to reality, whatever that new reality is. But it's just there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel now. So fingers crossed, we're looking at a positive season ahead, that we can actually go and sit in the stadium. And as Boris says, looks like it's going to be a full stadium. I don't know how I quite feel about that, but we'll take it as it comes.
Paddy, you're able to kick with both feet because you've got both vaccines. I've only got the one vaccine, so I better go back in I need to go in and get my second one so that I'll be able to cross it with my left foot. But at the moment, I'm horribly right-footed. But time will come when I'm called, I will go. I'm
not kicking with any feet at the moment because I'm absolutely floored from the second vaccine. I struggled to even get out of bed today, so. Anyway, it's a short-term pain for a long-term game. We'll be fine.
Exactly. It's our way back into Villa Park, It's our way back into Villa Park. But not only just us are delighted to be making our way to Villa Park at some stage in the future. Others are going to get to make their way there an awful lot quicker because we've got people back training. We've got new signings in the door since we've spoken last. We have... It's basically been all go. Like today was an absolutely manic day, it seems, in Bodymore Heath, in Villa Park, wherever the players came from, or wherever the players went to sign. And we'll talk about that in a moment. There's just been lots has gone on in the last 7 to 10 days since we last spoke. But one of the faces that we've seen has been training there in Bodymore Heath is an actual old face. Well, he's an old face, but it's a face that never seems to get any older, if that makes any sense. Ashley Young is back, and he is back to a Bodymore Heath that must be starkly recognisable to him since he was last there. What's your feelings on that, Paddy? Because we spoke about when it was rumoured. We never really spoke about it since he has signed. So give us the Paddy Kelly lowdown on Ashley Young.
Yeah, I tell you, we don't really take players back. I think the last player I can remember us taking us back was Steve Staunton, and I got really excited about that one when he came back from Liverpool. It's never a big thing for me. I always thought it was a mistake coming back, but the more I look at this signing, I think it's a really positive signing. It makes an awful lot of sense. There's so many areas he can cover. He's going to be an old head, a winning head in the dressing room who knows what it takes to get results and get wins and get trophies. Since he left us, he's very well decorated on his trophy cabinet. So he's just come off a really good season with Inter Milan, where he's played a lot of games. So as time has gone on and seen him back training, I'm a little bit more excited about it now. At the time, I was a little bit flat. I was going, I don't know. And a lot of that, to be fair, is down to me absolutely despising the fact that he went to Man United at the time. And I'm not forgotten that he, in his first game against Aston Villa, he did one of his theatrical dives. So all of these things added up and made me a little bit more skeptical of the signing. But as time has gone on and the more I've thought about it, it definitely makes sense, considering all the positions he can cover. like even at full back, he can play on either side, in attack. He can play through the middle. I hope his legs are still there to do it. And, you know, if he has a good season, he seems to have really looked after his body. There's no reason why we won't have him for a couple of seasons.
This is my big question. Everybody presumes he can play right back. Can he play right back? I don't think he's even going to get within Nasser's roar playing right back for Aston Villa.
But the thing is, if we're light in any of those positions, he can cover.
He's played centre back for Manchester United in the back three before.
It's crazy.
That was
crazy. Yeah.
That was absolutely crazy. No, I'm absolutely all for this. I am pumping the brakes on the whole. He can play either right or left back because he just doesn't have the body of work playing right back. He did it for a season. I think Manchester United, and I'm open to correction on this because I did have the statistics written down and I had this all rehearsed for a podcast that never came about some time ago when he first signed. But obviously, look, he can definitely play left back. And I think the way that Aston Villa are going have played, and especially with Matty Targett, we want him to be able to bomb up and down that wing. I don't see him. I see him covering in on that wing, the left back, left wing. I just don't see him at right back. He's only got a small body of work. I think he's played there less than, I think it's only about 30 times or 35 times. And it was in one of the seasons whereby Manchester United one of their poorer seasons as well. Yeah. Look, I'm not saying he's the fault. I just don't think he's going to be a real option there.
I certainly wasn't saying that was going to be a option. It was just that, you know, if there was 10 minutes to go in the game and we didn't have a right back on the bench, or if somebody was out, you know, with a suspension or whatever, and somebody had to cover, he would do it. 100%. Or if we had whoever our right back is going to be in backup, you would think it's going to be Freddie Gilbert, given that he's back at the club. You know, that it'll be there. But anyway, it's not right back that I'm getting excited about. I want to see him in attack. I want to see flashes of the old Ashley Young flying down the wing. That's what I want to see. I'd just relish in the opportunity of getting to see him on one wing, maybe Jack on the other wing, or Jack through the middle, or something, or some combination or permutation. Either way, I just think it's an exciting signing now. It's taken me a while, but I'm excited about it.
Bingo. And I think that's what this brings us. This brings us versatility that Dean Smith more or less has said towards the end of the season that he wanted from players. He wanted to have that versatility on the bench. We've seen it as well. Sometimes the split that Dean Smith has on the bench sometimes can be very heavily weighted towards attack or defense. You know, he's not somebody who will how am I going to put this? He will try and cover a lot of positions with one or two players. He'll have those auxiliary players, and then he'll have, you know, his game changers. That's what he wants, should I say, on the bench. And that's the feeling that I get from Dean Smith. And look, Ashley Young is going to be part of his leadership team as well. He's going to be part of his leadership trust. He is going to be 36 in, well, this is going to be out on the 7th of July, and he's going to be 36 on the 9th of July. And you can already see this, that, you know, he himself and John Terry are close in age, you know. They know each other from playing with England, and there has to be this kind of conduit, or this bridge, I suppose, between the management team and the players is going to come through the likes of Ashley Young. Yes, at the moment it comes through Jack Grealish, it comes through Tyrone Mings and so on as well, but even just a further conduit like that, having an older, experienced head inside there, like we said beforehand, he likes to have that. He's lost it in Neil Taylor, and he's lost it in Ahmed Al Mohammadi. And Ashley Young is going to not only have the role of covering the fullbacks, both fullback positions potentially, like those two gentlemen did. He's also going to be covering the old head, the experienced head, the man with the man with the insight and the foresight, should I say, within that room, I suppose, really, with the defenders, because good and all as all those defenders are, they still haven't any accolades under their belt other than Tyrone Mings playing for England. You know, so it's the very astute signing, doesn't break the bank, doesn't really break anything to do with our structure at all. It's a safe signing, if you ask me, but it's one that we can get excited about.
Yeah. I think you just about summed it all up. Yeah.
Another man that you mentioned maybe he might be right back, or maybe he might be auxiliary right back, and he's back in the building. It's Freddie Gilbert. Didn't have him on my rundown sheet here to talk about him, but I think we will for a moment. It was often said after January of last year, why did we let Gilbert go and why did we keep back Mohammedi? And I think there was probably a small bit of a longer term plan in that in that loan, in letting him go out on loan, should I say. Would you be of that view as well, Paddy? Because my thoughts are that, we had three people battling there. It was probably a case whereby Gilbert needed time. He probably wanted time on the pitch. He wasn't going to get it for Aston Villa because he would have either been number 2 or number 3 because Matty Cash was not going to get in, was not going to be dropped. Now, subsequently, he did get injured twice during towards the end of the season, and Ezri Konsa stepped in there and Ahmed Mohammedi stepped in there. But, you can't just stop a player from moving out like that. If just because you say something might happen that may never happen, and then when it does happen, yes, people can say you look foolish, but at the end of the day, they did what they felt was right because they had enough cover there, and it didn't cost us really. It didn't cost us. Now I'm delighted to see him back in there because I think he's a fine player. And when he went out and he was playing for Strasbourg, I think it was, wasn't it? When he was playing for Strasbourg, He was actually. He scored a couple of goals, he created a couple of goals, and he played very well. What do you think the future holds for him at Villa? Do you think he stays here? Do you think maybe we move him on?
I think he stays. I was a little bit, I don't know what the word is. I was just a bit surprised that they sent him out last year. But I think the logic behind it was that he wasn't quite the finished article. He was a little bit hot-headed. He needed to calm down. He needed to get a few things out of his system. And for me, he seems like a really good player. He's a high-octane fullback. He's the kind of fullback I'd like to see. And it kind of worried me that he was chosen to go out on loan and keep Elmo there. But, there's better people than us making that decision. So I'm hoping that it's the case that he's gone out, he's calmed down, he's grown up a little bit. And he's ready to he's no spring chicken either, so he should be ready for playing at this level. So I'm hoping he's given the opportunity because I think could be a valuable asset in the squad.
26 years of age, he only played 2 cup games for us last season. So I know, yes, hindsight is 2020. When Matty Cash got injured, people were like, we shouldn't have let him go. We shouldn't have let him go. At the end of the day, Ahmed Mohammedi played fine. He's absolute consummate pro inside there, and he came in, he did his job, and then when he subsequently, was deemed to maybe be flagging because of the amount of games we were playing at that period of time towards the end of the season, Ezri Konsa came in and played really, really well at right back. Now, I'm not for any instance saying that I particularly want Konsa at right back, but I think what we've seen him do at right back is more than passable for right back in Dean Smith's system. But no, for me, and we all know that I'm the head of the Courtney House fan club. For me, Mings and Konsa inside there in the centre half positions is where I want to go with that. And look, by all means, if you want to throw Courtney House in there as well in the centre to head everything away and play 3 at the back in this new fashionable 3 at the back with wing back situation, or be a small bit more fluid whereby you can change within games, bring on an Ashley Young maybe at right back or left back. I know he just said he couldn't play right or left back, but maybe he could play right or left wing back, which would be a lot more suitable for him. This is what I'm talking about, the options that a player like that gives you. But I think Freddie Gilbert as well is a player that gives you options too. He allows you to shore up that right hand side. He's very, very passable as a Premier League defender. Bit positionless at times, doesn't hold his position. And I think for Dean Smith that is huge. And I personally think that's why he was let go out on loan, was because Dean Smith needed somebody to hold their position at right back a small bit better, because he'd seen Matty Cash go forward against the likes of Leeds and stuff like that. His last ditch tackles were fantastic, and he grew into the position as the year went on. And he was unlucky that he got injured because he could have been on that provisional squad for England. He was playing that well, and that's a lot to say considering people like Wan-Bissaka and those weren't. But I think positionally that's where Matty Cash will have to grow over the off season. And Ahmed Mohammedi was somebody who for all his faults in the speed department, you could definitely rely on him to be in the right position at the right time. And maybe that's something that Dean Smith wanted, maybe just a safer pair of hands there if Matty Cash ever went out, instead of bringing in somebody like Freddie Gilbert. But he's back in the building. People seem to like him. People like him behind the scenes. And I'm really looking forward to see what the future holds for him with this club, because, as I say, he's only 26 years of age. And as I always say, right backs and left backs and depth on the bench are better looking at it than looking for it. So I'm all for him. All for him. More depth is rumoured, and I'm going to say this, heavily rumoured, within the attacking, on the attacking side of the ball. And it's in the form of Arsenal protege, I suppose I'm going to call it, or prodigy, should I even say, Emile Smith-Rowe. Apparently third bid is going to go in any day now, 32.5 million. Rumours floating about that 35 gets it done.
35 plus one.
Yeah, 35 plus £1. Yeah, just like what they did with Suarez. But what's your views on that? Like, talk to me about Emile Smith-Rowe, because like I know that he played a good share of football in the championship. Obviously, you know, he was trusted by Arteta last year. Seen lots of good sparkly bits of play from him up there. He does unlock defenses, does get in around, he does move around a small bit. I suppose realistically, when you look at like himself and Foden, they were probably the two best, I'm going to call it 20 or under 20 players in English players in the Premier League last season. So like, this is something I think the Villa are looking at as an investment, to maybe getting in there on the ground floor before he's worth of 40 or 50 or 60 million, because we know the way that those, you know, that young players go. But what have you seen from him, Paddy? Is he somebody that you welcome, or is he somebody that you're a small bit on the fence about?
Oh, I'm not on the fence at all. I definitely welcome a signing like that. I do find it a little bit strange that, you know, we're in for him. I'm a little bit apprehensive to be doing any cartwheels or celebrating or anything about it, because it just seems so unlike Aston Villa to be doing something like this,
doesn't it?
Look, are we a big club now? Yes, I think we are. And you know, if you're going to be a big club, you have to start acting like a big club. And if that means going to Arsenal, one of the perceived big six, and taking their prized young assets off them, this is a huge game changer for me. I took it with a pinch of salt for a while, but it's not going away. So there's obviously something going on behind the scenes. And look, if you're taking a guy who I thought every time I watched him, you know, was a fantastic prospect. He's not the finished article by any means. Played 22 games for Arsenal last year, England under 21 international. You know, it's just the type of player that fits into our system as well. So there's a lot going on with this one, and I am literally scratching my head thinking about it. But yes, I'd absolutely take him in a heartbeat. He's
a passing machine. That's why I think Smith wants him. Smith wants him because he just knows how to pass the ball, but more importantly, he knows how to pass it on target. His pass completion statistics are brilliant. I don't want to go into it too much, because I'm going to do a little video piece on him, regardless of whether we sign him or not, because it was one of these ones that when you hear about it, you go paper talk. But
yeah, that's exactly it. I remember, it's funny you mentioned the passing stats. I remember watching Neville and Carragher pick apart his game at one stage during the season, and it was every pass was followed by a sprint. That was his game. So he'd give the ball, and he never stood looking for a back. It was always a sprint, making triangles. And they were saying that it was most unusual for a player of that age to pick it up that easy and to have that work rate at that age and that willingness to work for a ball. And then the minute they lose the ball, you know, he ended up in the same position each time. Now, obviously, that's drilled into him from an Arsenal point of view as well. But it was a really interesting piece. I'm sure you'll probably find it on YouTube, whatever. But look, if we're going to be doing this, why stop here? You know, we're going to get onto a few more that we're picking some prized assets from other clubs as well today. So I hope it happens, and long may these links continue. Who knows what we're going to pick up next?
Yeah, like Emil Smith Rowe has played under some really decent managers. You know, he some I suppose technically minded managers. I think Ralph Ragnick at RB Leipzig. Yes, he was injured there for a period of time, but you still pick up like what you could pick up from somebody like a Ralph Ragnick is like worth its weight in gold, especially at 18 years of age. Like what made RB Leipzig want to sign on loan a player 18 years of age plucked from relative obscurity in the Arsenal academy, you know. How many times have Leipzig done that and picked an absolute gem? We see Danny Aloma, should I say, missed the penalty tonight, but absolutely lit up the Euros. Barcelona player went to Dynamo Zagreb. Yes, did express an interest in coming back to Barcelona, but obviously knowing their financial woes at the moment, RB's Leipzig swooped in, took him. Like that's what they do. They've got an unbelievable scouting system. Whether it be for Leipzig, whether it be for Salzburg or whatever, but the Red Bull franchise there, they absolutely do have a super scouting network there. He also played under Danny Cowley, so I know, look, he went on loan to Huddersfield in January 2020. Danny Cowley may not be the first name on anybody's lips when they start talking about good managers, but he's a brilliant coach. He's a very, very well-respected coach himself and his brother. And yes, it didn't really work out for him very well at Huddersfield, but from a coaching standpoint, you can't fault him. You can't fault the Cowley brothers. You really can't. And like, sometimes a kid needs coaching, you know, and that's all it is. And maybe this is exactly what he needs, and he's reaping the benefits of it. Comes in then to play with somebody like an Arteta under Arteta. Arteta obviously learned from Pep. Arteta, being a good midfielder himself, can appreciate what Smith Rowe brings to the table. You know, he's had some good coaching minds over him. I'm all for it. I don't give. I see people on Twitter start saying about, well, if we sign him, we won't be signing a striker. If we sign him, we won't be signing a defensive midfielder. Who says so? Who says so? You know.
But you know, I did kind of believe that myself at when we finished the end of last season, that would be the way forward. We'd maybe sign one or two, but I don't think this is going to stop here. You know, I think we could be looking at 4 or 5 signings coming in. And big signings, you know, and that's a big signing. I know he's a young lad, but that's a big signing and a huge statement of intent if it comes off. And fingers crossed it does come off, you know. But you know, you mentioned the scouting network there. You know, we're developing pretty secure scouting network ourselves. You know, we've made some phenomenal signings at our youth level.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the future is bright, and I know we're going to get to a few of them players in a minute, but you know, I believe that the system we have in place for scouting is going to be second to none in Europe, because we've simply just taken over the youth setup from everybody, because the players just want to come to Aston Villa because they can see there's opportunities and they can see it's a big club.
Bingo. I think you hit the nail on the head there. That very last sentence, I think, hit the nail on the head. I think we've always had a decent scouting system, and I know even going back towards the time of John Gregory, we had a good academy system, even up to the time of bringing through the likes of Stephen Davis, Gary Cahill, you know, all those players that were coming through. Isaiah Osborne was actually pretty highly thought of when he came through. Players like that, Nathan Delfonso, you know, all good players that came through the Moore brothers. We've spoken about this on previous podcasts. So we've had a good academy. But what the big piece here is they were players that were bringing through that maybe, you know, were local lads and had been developed by the club. Now what we're doing is we're attracting players that want to get better and want to get better because they see. Like one of the biggest signings that Aston Villa made over the last 2 or 3 years was Mark Harrison. People say it, they talk about it. He's revolutionized it. You mentioned that we've signed people. We'll get on to the 7 academy signings that we had today that we've signed to new deals, but we've already signed, you know, Josh Feeney, one of the best, most highly thought of young defenders in England at the moment, 16 years of age, captain of the England under-16 team, played for Fleetwood at senior level already. You know, we've signed him. We brought him through. Man United were heavily after him. Lots of teams were heavily after him, but he signed for Aston Villa. Aston Villa haven't announced it yet, but I don't know why he would dress up in brand new Aston Villa training gear. Number one, it's not for sale, so somebody in the club must have given it to him. And they must have known it was going on for a while. They must have known that he was signing for a while, because they got an Aston Villa stained glass window thing made up and put up behind him when he was signing his contract. So he has definitely signed, although the club haven't mentioned it. But there's also talks that, and you'll have to excuse me, Tim Arogbonem from West Bromwich Albion is signing as well. Now, I did say on Twitter, there aren't enough Tims playing in the Premier League. There really aren't enough Tims. So I am delighted with this. So if there's any other, if there's any Bobs around there, I'll happily sign a Bob. Bring back those names, those fantastic names. But Tim is in, and he will always be Tim to me. West Bromwich Albion Player of the Year, Academy Player of the Year last season. All action midfielder, likes to leave his foot in. Apparently, pretty decent size. He's just going to kind of click on in that conveyor belt, and I would imagine he will come in there. And look, we're not going to see Carney Chukwuemeka playing in the academy system next year. He's going to be with the first team, and maybe this guy just comes in, fills in his boots, and just plays that position for him. Another person we signed last season. What I'm getting at here is that all these guys have been in and around senior squads. There was calls for Tim to be in and around the West Brom senior squad at the end of last season as well. Last year we signed Ben Crisene as well, from Exeter. Also had a senior cap. This, the scouting system, as you mentioned, and this academy system, they're no mugs. They're picking these guys, and there's no kind of coincidence. They're not just picking guys who have played senior games for lower league clubs. They're picking them because they're bloody good too. So I'm absolutely delighted with the rumors of those two guys. Everything you read about them just oozes good, top class for their age at this moment in time. That would be up to them. That would be up to the training team as well, to get the most out of them and hopefully progress through to the senior team for Aston Villa Football Club. Yes,
wholeheartedly agree. It's like the whole landscape of the club has changed under Mark Harrison. And, I was aware of Mark Harrison for many years because a club who I played for in Dublin, St. Kevin's Boys, have been affiliated with West Brom for many years. So I've known a lot about him and the people who go over to West Brom. And I'm pretty sure that link was set up because of him. All speak so highly of him. So I'm really impressed with his work so far, and I truly believe he's one of the best signings we've had in years. You're dead right.
If Mark Harrison, because he's definitely listened to the podcast. Mark Harrison, if you're listening, ever think of updating your LinkedIn profile? You still have West Brom on your LinkedIn profile. Because every so often I'll maybe misremember something about him, and I'll go to him. The first link that always pops up is his LinkedIn profile. So yeah, I'm that stalker that's the the way you get notified when someone looks at you on LinkedIn. I'm that stalker that profile. Yeah, but just change it to Phil. You don't have to be scared. Just change.
And if he wants to come on for a chat, Neil, too, he's more than welcome.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We can swap notes. But he's done. Look, as I said, they're two fantastic prospects anyway, and keep the conveyor belt going is what I say, because we've had 7 academy signings sign pro deals. I'm going to call them senior deals, I suppose, really, because they're over the age of 18, the majority of these guys. But I suppose the big headline one was Kane Hayden-Kessler signing a 5-year deal. Everybody, I think, really is delighted about this. He's one of the first names that rolls off the tongue from that team that won the FA Cup, the FAU Cup last year. We spoke about right backs. We spoke about Freddie Guilbert. We didn't even mention Kane Kessler-Hayden, and he's got 5 years under his belt. What you feel I suppose this coming year will hold for him? Will he be in around the team? Will he maybe cut his teeth at championship level now we've signed him up for a long period of time?
If it was me now, this would be the year to send him out and see what he's made of. It seems to be what we've been doing with our prospects. The likes of Tariq Wright went out to Walsall last year. And a couple of others went out as well. The only thing is, if we're going to send our players out now, if they're on the verge of first team football, I'd like to see them to go a little bit higher. I'd like to see them go maybe a championship club. With Kane Hayden Kessler, I think he's a little bit raw from what I've seen of him. You know, don't get me wrong, he's absolutely brilliant, but it just needs somebody to have a little bit of a dog lead on him to pull him back, because he loses the run of himself and he pops up in the box. And I think at Premier League level he might leave us a little bit exposed. So a little bit of growing up, a little bit of coaching and training, and I think we've got a really, really, really hot prospect in our hands.
Yeah, and he definitely. I agree with you. I'm not even convinced that right back is going to be his position in the Premier League.
Probably
if he
not.
does go up in the Premier
League. So many goals as well, you know.
Yeah.
With the underage teams, he scored loads of goals. So is right wing a possibility for him? Is that the way they see he's going to be in the future? Who knows? But we're going to find out a lot about him this year, because I definitely think he'll need to go out and get some football just to calm him down a little bit and sort out what is his position, and let one of maybe the lesser championship teams have a go off him and see if there's a good coach there that can look after him.
Absolutely. And not only was he the only person who signed, a Paddy Kelly favourite, Anna Shakodi signed as well, signed a deal, 19-year-old Hungarian goalkeeper, along with, here's where I let myself down, Similko, that's what I'm going to call him anyway, Sinsalko, the Finnish goalkeeper anyway, 19 years of age. There's a lot of photographs actually of him training with the first team. In Bodymore, going through on the first day of back training, was on loan at Ayr United, I think, last season, and was played up a storm until he got injured. He's back, probably going to Trenton, or going to compete for that third goalkeeper spot. You would imagine they're behind Jed Steer, maybe even compete for the second goalkeeper spot. I know at the end of last season he warmed up with the goalkeepers, or he helped warm up the goalkeepers with Neil Cutler towards the end of the season, making his way back from injury. And I know Neil Cutler thinks very, very highly of him. So somebody else who signed another contract as well. Mungo Bridge, the fantastically named Mungo Bridge, 20-year-old central defender, has also signed on. We don't know what the length of these contracts are. Well, I certainly haven't seen the length of these contracts yet. I know the only one that they mentioned was Kessler, the length of Kessler's contract. Yes. I presume they all didn't sign 5-year contracts. Maybe a lot of them might sign 1 or 2 or 18-month contracts or whatever.
At that age, it's usually a 1 or 2 year contract. So that tells you in itself the hopes they have for Kane Kessler Hayden. So, but yeah, you know, Tarek Wright on loan at Walsall. They spoke very highly of him all season. The fans were delighted to have him there. DJ Sturridge, I don't know an awful lot about, and Miles Sona is a new one to me. And we've seen an awful lot of the under 18s and under 21s this season. So, look, it's all positive. These are guys that can be added to the first team squad if needed, because they're classed as homegrown players, so they don't have to be named as part of the 25. So, you know, they've tied them down, and I think the biggest one today is Kessler Hayden, as we spoke about so many times on this podcast. And good luck to him. I hope he gets a good innings in the championship, and somebody really looks after him, and he gets a good run of games and comes back to us, because I really sincerely believe that he has oodles of talent to play in possibly a few different positions. And for a right back who can, he's good crosser of the ball. He's good dribbling with the ball. He can score goals. It's just I can't speak highly enough of him. So he was the one that stood out, obviously getting a 5-year contract as well.
Yeah. Just on DJ Sturridge, obviously Dean Sturridge's son, I think, former Derby County player, but he was highly thought of. I know he scored a couple of goals for the under 18 side, and he played a couple of games in the Premier League 2 or whatever you want to call it last season, but he got injured towards the end of the season, so it kind of cut his season short. strikers. We looked down through the strikers we had in the academy towards the end of last season. Even when we were going through the FA Youth Cup, you had Louis Barry on one wing, who we would classify as a striker, and Brad Young up top. But we didn't really have anybody else that was I suppose really of the age, because it makes a massive difference if you're 17 or 16 playing an under 18s game. The age difference can actually really hinder you, can really hold you back. Whereas this guy, that DJ Sturridge, was brought in to play in that position, or to play there with that team. And obviously he was he was injured, so he wasn't able to just stops that type of rotation or whatever. So look, we'll see what comes of him as well. He's going to be there. He's going to be in around the under 23s next season in the Premier League 2 team, or Premier League 2 team as they call it now. So that's going to be pretty good for him. And let's see where he goes. Let's see if he can build on his promise, because he's pretty, comes from good stock, as they say. He does come from good stock. Anything else, Paddy? Do we have anything else we want to talk about? So, Paddy's, anything else that we want to go through there? Fixture changes. Fixture changes. Big for us over this side of the pond. Trying to get tickets. Number one, I suppose, plane tickets more so than anything else. Yeah. Trying to get those, trying to sort out our day trips, because sometimes you don't get a pass for the whole weekend. You only get a pass for one day. You have to make the most of it. What fixture changes have we seen for the month of August?
So we've none yet for August. Yeah, because we're still waiting on BT Sports and the possibility of Amazon if they have any in August. I'm unsure of. But on Saturday, September 11th, we are due to play Chelsea in Stamford Bridge, and that game has been switched to a 5:30 kickoff. And the following week at home to Everton has also been switched to a 5:30 kickoff. So the two of them games will come after the international break. And 5:30 is not ideal for us to do a day trip, but sure, we'll just have to stay overnight if we're going. Yeah.
Oh no. Woe is us, Paddy. Hopefully there will be pubs that we can maybe just step in out of the rain into. Yeah. That's all we're looking for. Yeah, as we wander the streets destitute and homeless, waiting for our flight the next morning. Take pity upon us, people of Birmingham. Take pity upon us and fill our glasses full of ale. That's all we ask. But no, it would be great, as I say, that we are looking to get over there. We spoke about vaccinations to start. Whatever you guys want to do it yourselves. We want to get them in us so that we can get over to Villa Park. So it's all part of the plan. And hopefully, as I say, that Boris Johnson does press the button on this, and that we do see Stadia still open fully in August. So that is good. Excuse me. Last thing, Paddy, is there's a rumored kit launch. Rumored.
Well, it has to happen at some stage.
Yeah.
I think it's due for next week. Don't know what day. That seems to be what the plan is. So don't know how they're going to do it or what the plan is to launch it. We won't have Tyrone Ming sitting in Witten Station waiting to get or step off a train in Witten Station.
No, we might have Emil Smith-Rowe.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? Just
when was the last time? Actually, we say this every single time Villa get a new kit. It's like, oh, they might wait. They're probably waiting for this person to sign until they do the kit launch. When was the last time? Has it ever happened? Has it ever happened whereby Villa have released the kit and a new signing steps out from behind the big curtain? I'm sure it happened in the Deadly Dog days.
Well, whatever about stepping out behind a curtain, the last big signing I remember coming out in a new kit was Stan Collymore in the light blue away kit. Yeah, one of my favourite kits. But what annoys me is every year is the big clubs have their kits out before the season ends. I think we'll officially become a big club when we have our kit on in the last match of the season, because I think we're missing the trick. We should be. I always said it. You're going off on your summer holidays. It's lovely to put the new kit on, but most people are going on their summer holidays are wearing last year's kit. So, when you're walking around Spain or Magaluf or wherever you are, it's always good to be looking across at another Villa fan and just giving a wink or whatever.
That's money bags. Not only can he afford a foreign holiday, he can also afford a new kit as well. Jesus Christ.
That was the old days, Neil. That was the old days.
The old days, yeah. When you were getting a Deadly Doug package holiday over to Spain, when that's so you were actually only just doing your duty for the club back then. Pass all back through the coffers. That's what I like to hear. But no, you're right. You are right. I suppose. Look, it all depends on stability within the league, I suppose, number one, and number two, it's kind of, I always kind of get the feeling that kit manufacturers kind of, when they look at clubs, it's kind of like if anybody's a Formula One fan, you've got some teams make their own engines and some teams don't, and they just kind of rent the engines off other teams. Like, Mercedes make their engine and McLaren have a Mercedes engine, but it's not the best Mercedes engine. So that's kind of what I get the feeling sometimes is you want to kind of climb the totem pole and become one of those, I suppose, flagship teams for brands. And I can see that's probably why Villa have been getting into bed with brands like Under Armour, brands like Kappa, who are trying to break into the football, into the Premier League kind of stratosphere. And, I don't particularly I'm indifferent on the Kappa stuff. I don't hate it. I don't absolutely love it. I just think it's I think it's grand. I think it's fine. I will happily wear it every day of the week. And I think that if Villa were to maybe like when they had the night gear for when Martin O'Neill was with us, yes, we were getting a custom-made jersey by Nike. It wasn't just one of their reproduction stuff like you see from lower league teams and stuff like that. But at the same time, we still weren't up the totem pole to get kits released very, very quickly or to have them by the end of the season. So hopefully our play on the field and our commercial departments behind the scenes and so on like that will push us up both that financial and that performance totem pole. And we will be able to have that too. That's it. I would imagine that would be a goal for the club to be.
I would imagine it's we're looking at, we've been dealing with Fanatics now for a long time, and it's kind of been out of the club's hands. So I think as we grow and get bigger, we're a club with 12,000, or what did they say, 16,000 people waiting on season tickets or something like that.
13, yeah, I saw
13, whatever it was.
13,001, including me.
Yeah, so we need to be looking after our own. Our own commercial department and our own club shops and not being outsourcing it, but that's a story for another day. That's a bugbear of mine. But the only problem I have, look, I bought loads of Kappa stuff last year because I wasn't spending any money and I wasn't traveling to Villa Park. So I bought a lot of stuff and the quality is fine, absolutely fine. The shirts, obviously you've got to size up and do all that kind of stuff. But the problem I had with Fanatics was they just didn't have the sizes, so they didn't cater for certain sizes. So it was either go on a diet or forget about the kits. So I forgot about buying any more, and they released some during the week, and I just said, you know what? If they have to do a pre-release to see how many they actually going to sell, we're going to have the same problems this year as well, I imagine. So I'll buy the kit this year, but I think that'll be the end of it because I think this is our last year with Kappa. And especially given the fact that our owner is a major shareholder in Adidas.
Fingers crossed, Patrick. Fingers crossed.
We might be looking at something further down the road. Not that we have any inside knowledge on that. It just makes sense.
There's just something about an Adidas kit that just gets my juices flowing. But that's a whole podcast in its own, I think. What gets my juices flowing is a podcast for Behind the Paywall, I think. That's for sure.
But there's been a number of leaked, we'll call them leaked. I don't know whether they're concept kits or what they are. Didn't exactly float my boat. They were just, whatever. So I can't imagine, being the year that's in it, you would expect there would be some kind of throwback to 1982. Being the 40th anniversary, so we'll see. Probably next week, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a white pinstripe kit, or an old-fashioned V-neck, like throwback to Le Coq Sportif. I'd like to see something like that done this year. I think it would be nice. But we don't normally see a black and white kit coming same year after year. And considering we had a black and a white kit last year, I think it would be unusual to see the same again this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I let the professionals at that one. I pretend to be good at other stuff, enough other stuff that I don't need to pretend to be good at fashion design either. I let the pros do that. As long as there's no chevrons. As long as there's no chevrons, and I'm not too good on kind of boxy things either. You know what I mean? Like checkered stuff. So as long as there's none of that, I'm easy enough to get on board. But yeah, no, it's going to be exciting times. As I say, we're nearly there. There'll be football played in 2 weeks' time. You know, preseason games will be played in 2 weeks' time. Where does the time go? We aren't even out of the Euros yet. It's fucking fantastic. We should have Buendia in Bodybor Heat next week after his time off. Things are hotting up. Who knows who else is going to come in the door? We are back. This is the start of, let's call it the start of the new season for the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Not that we really ever really went away, but this is where we're beginning to ramp up for the new season. And anything happens, we will be back to you guys with our slightly. I don't know. I like to think that they're slightly different takes. Probably similar. I don't know. I suppose everybody who does a podcast thinks that anyway. But we'll be back with you anyway, whether you like our takes or not. That's what we'll be back with. But I think we're going to leave it there. Paddy, is there? I genuinely, there's just been so much has gone on even today alone that I'm loath to kind of finish up the podcast without, in case I forget something. But I think we've covered all bases there.
I think so. Nothing off the top of my head anyway. I'm sure we'll see the August fixtures confirmed in the next few days by BT or Amazon, whoever has it, and we'll be all set to head into the new season. Kind of a big friendly announced against Seville, or Sevilla as they call themselves. So that would be an interesting one. I just hope we get to see the games that are played. I hope we get to see them on AVTV or something. Maybe they'll do the old donation to the Aston Villa Foundation, and we'll all get on to have a look at it. Yeah.
Mark Harrison, if you're watching, you can make that stuff happen. Or if you're listening, you can make that stuff happen as well. We'll talk about it when you come on. Actually, just a really quick one on Seville. Went on holidays to Seville. If anybody hasn't been there before, when things open up, I would absolutely 1,000,000% advise it. Lovely city break. Well, we went there for nearly a week, actually. Very city orientated. But when we got to the reason I'm talking about this is that when we pulled up to our hotel, it was kind of in the suburbs. We pulled up to the hotel, and next thing we went in the door of the hotel and up to our room, and the curtains were closed in our room. And I was kind of going, "Oh my God, what? Like that's kind of strange." And it was like something out of a film. I opened up the curtains, and Real Betis Stadium was right there, and there was a break in the two stands. So there's a kind of a bowl, like the stands are like a bowl, and it was going around like a bowl, but just a break in the bowl was right where my window was. And I literally, first thing I did was got on the phone and went, "Oh my God," because like I'm not one who looks up the hotel I'm going to beforehand. My better half picked the hotel, so literally I could have watched the game if they were playing. So it went on. They were away 2 weekends. They were away for the two games they were playing that week, on a Wednesday night and the Saturday. And I was kind of bullying, but like literally I could open my window and spat onto the field from where I was. It was just amazing. But no, Seville is a great spot. So if we and I think we're playing them at home, aren't we? So
we're playing them at home.
We won't be able to get out to Seville, but it's a class town.
We can get out to Seville next season when we play them in the Champions League. How's that?
That's it, Paddy. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I like. No, actually, we won't, because next season they'll be back in the Europa League, because they love to win that anyway. So it's so they'll be back.
No, don't ruin the ending on a high here. Now we're giving Mr. Positive here.
Well, we win the Europa League to get into the Champions League the year after. Then that's it. Yeah. Right, lads, we're going to leave it there. Thanks very much, everybody, for listening. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're nearly at the 1,000 mark on YouTube subs. We would absolutely love it if you could subscribe on YouTube. I think we're about 170 odd away from 1,000. Just a personal goal for us. We're too old fella. Well, I was going to say we're two old fellas, but I don't want to insult Paddy. I need him to
Speak
come
for
back.
yourself.
Otherwise, I'd be talking to myself. But we're just two fellas over here in Ireland, just shooting the breeze. It's thank you so much for everything you guys do for the podcast. We've got a couple of irons in the fire coming up over the next couple of weeks, and we'll be back with anything that happens and just any murmurings that happen with Aston Villa. We'll be back on a more regular basis now. So thanks very much, everybody. You can catch Paddy on @VillaPaddy. You can catch me on @LoveMcGrathPod. And really, guys, all that's left to say is we're only a few more weeks away from Aston Villa football again. And until then, all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.